Hi everyone, it's Christine from the Art Studio. This video looks at the work of the artist Kandinsky and focuses on concentric circles. The aim of this is to help children explore colour and to have a bit of an insight into abstract art. To create this piece, what you'll need is a ruler, a piece of A3 paper, but you could use A4, and some oil pastels. The first thing that you need to do is to create a grid on a piece of paper. So what I've done to create my grid is I've used the width of my ruler to create a border, and then you can divide up equally the centre part of the piece of paper. So on my piece I've done 6 squares, but you could do 4. And then it's those squares that you're going to work into. So depending on the age of the child, sometimes when filling these in, the border can get a bit messy. You might want to advise them to kind of work either from left to right or from right to left, depending on whether they're left-handed, to save any sort of imprints in the border. Or what you could do is to cut out the centerpiece into equal squares, and then once they've finished you could stick those in place. So for the purposes of the video, I've cut a square of paper out just to sort of show you how to recreate something like this. Of course you can use any combination of colour. Oil pastels come in a variety of different quantities, so depending on how many colours you've got in your pack, and of course sort of personal preference. The oil pastels I've used are these ones here, so these are from Specialist Crafts. There's lots of different makes you can use, and for the video I'm going to use these warm pink colours just to show you how to create these concentric circles. You also need the white oil pastel, and I'll show you why that's used for blending purposes. When you're working with oil pastels, it's a good idea to either have a bit of paper just to sort of clean off the pastels so that you don't have a contamination of colour, or just a bit of blue roll. So to start off, as I say, you might want to, if you're right-handed, you might want to work in the first square so that you're not leaning as you go down on the paper. The first thing you're going to do, depending on the sequence of how you want to use your colours, so I'm going to start lightest in the middle and going darker as we go round. The first thing to do is look at sort of where the centre of your square is and just do a circle around, leaving the centre white. So just go around a couple of times. Look at the size of the square that you've created, because they're going to be different sizes depending on how you've marked out your paper. Just do a sort of light circle going round. So I think that's probably about the right size. Then use the next shade and go round again. So just kind of going round. Oil pastels are similar to crayons, and children, when they first use oil pastels, have a tendency to sort of think of them as crayons because they kind of you know, sort of scribble with them, but they're similar in consistency, but of course they're not the same. So just get them to just kind of go round the circle so that you can see a difference in variation in tone. Move on to the next one. So here you can see I'm going from light to dark, so I'm just going round. I'm trying to sort of keep the thickness as I go round, so it's of a similar thickness. Doesn't matter if it's thinner, but we're starting to sort of fill the square up, so just kind of go round. You can see the difference in colour as you do go round. and you can keep going over. You don't have to sort of, you know, you don't have to do it and then leave it. You can build the colour up, you can build the tone up as you go round. So that one I've gone a bit bigger because as I'm going round, obviously I've got the page, the square to sort of fill, and then we're going on to sort of a purpley colour, which is the next shade that I wanted to use. So just filling that round, and as you can see, the page and the square that I'm working on is filling up with colour. Keep going round. So on this particular example I've got a lot more space that I can fill, but for the purposes of video I'm going to just sort of stop here just to give you an idea. But you could keep going, so you could either keep going perhaps with some different colours, so you could go sort of blues maybe, or you could repeat this colour sequence going around the outside, and then what you want to do, you want to sort of blend these. So using the white, you can see this kind of blends them together. So I want to sort of blend where one colour stops and then the other colour starts. So as I'm going round, I can just blend it in. Now obviously I've cut this square out, but if you're working straight onto the paper you can turn your page, but you can see where my hand's leaning on here. If I had another colour there, it would be blending and it would be mixing onto it, so there'd be a bit of imprint of the other pastels, which is what you want to avoid. So I think that's probably okay. So hopefully you can see on the camera here, so I've started to blend those two colours in. So I'm going to turn the pastel onto a clean bit now, because I want to blend this lighter pink with the darker pink. So I'm just going round where I stopped with that pink and then started with the lighter one, just blending it. I'm just going to clean the pastel a little bit. So as I say, just a bit of paper or a bit of kitchen roll or something like that, just to sort of clean it so that I'm not getting some darker colours going in. And then I'm going to just blend this one here. Now this is something you can keep doing, you can keep building, so you can go back with your other colours and build the colour, build the tones more as you go round. You might want to put a little bit of white in the centre, just to sort of fill that in so it's not quite as white as the paper. And then what I did on the example, so going back to here, so if I look at this orange and yellow one, I've just filled round the outside, okay, with some of the colours that I've used. It might be a nice idea if you're doing this with children to show them an example of the work of Kandinsky so that they get an idea. Once you're happy with your first square, you move on to the next one and fill all your squares in. It takes quite a while to do, you know, so you're happy with it. So I could do a lot more work on this one, but just for the purposes of the video and as an example, hopefully you get the idea. One of the main things, colours to use, the main pastel is the white one for the blending purposes. So if you're buying a pack of oil pastels, make sure it's got a white in it, because they don't always have white. I've also got a pack of metallic ones here, which are quite nice, but these are slightly different to work with actually, so I did an example just to show you. They don't come with a white, so I did try and use a bit of white just as an experiment, but on the silver it makes it look a bit sort of grey. So if you did have a sort of set like this, obviously it hasn't got a white, so do make sure you get a set with a white. I've also tried this using these Derwent Intense blocks, which are quite good. these are water soluble, and because of the shape of them they go round quite nicely, and then you can blend them with water, so these are quite good. And that worked quite well. Children might quite like doing that, might find it sort of easier in some respects. So there's lots of possibilities with using something like this. You could have of course used soft pastels as well, but the oil pastels work really well. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe if you have, and please add comments in the comments box. Thanks very much.